All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Legend of the Galactic Heroes, episode 67. The cycle continues.
It does.
Just keep going around in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep. All these circles form a bigger circle.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we've got Bittenfeld sent to Heinesen.
That's right.
We've got Reinhard with a bit of pizzazz.
Yes.
In his heart now for war or something a little bit more dramatic.
Right. Bittenfeld's impassioned speech about thrusting forward and penetrating the enemy's defenses struck a chord in Reinhardt somehow. Mm-hmm. And he decided to listen to him. Hopefully this is not a repeat of, that whole kerfuffle that happened in the Alliance space not too long ago with that forking idiot. But, yeah.
I would say not necessarily, but if you were to give hopefully this is going to go well, I would have the narrator, it did not go well.
Right. And given how thoroughly the Empire has conquered everything, I feel like it can't go that badly, but I feel like it has to go at least a little bit badly. And then the question is, how much?
Yeah, the thoroughly part is a bit awkward, though, because while they have one military base in Alliance space, Alliance space is big.
That's true.
And Yang is not anywhere close to being found or really interfered with at all by the Empire.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of space to cover if they want to thoroughly conquer Alliance space.
Which is currently the plan. So,
well, going to Heinesen, that's not conquer everything yet.
It's a start.
It's a start. It is basically them saying we're going to use direct military intervention on your present state of government right now, which means Rebello. Yep, exactly. 07. It was nice knowing you. You're about to be either replaced, killed, or something in
Let
between.
go.
Yeah. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. All right, Operation Ragnarok 2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more Ragnarok.
The Ragnarok again.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Everyone's going basically except Oberstein.
Yep. Oberstein's just sort of, house sitting.
Yep.
And
if anyone that he would leave back to have house sitting other than Mariendorf, yep. Oberstein makes the most sense.
Indeed.
Yep.
Right.
I wouldn't leave Ruenthal back there.
Hell
I wouldn't
no.
leave Mittermeier back there.
No.
And of all the other admirals, Oberstein's just a better one for the case here.
Yeah, it's the whole thing of, Mueller, you could, but at the same time, you want him with you.
Yeah. Kessler, he's already kind of doing his own thing elsewhere, so you don't need to worry about him at all.
That is kind of Kessler's job, to sort of just, be like, all right.
Right.
I'll handle things.
Right, but right now Kessler is dealing with stuff elsewhere, so it's not even needed for him to do that, and thus we don't need to bring everyone over into Alliance space in order to make this work. So Oberstein,
just mostly everyone. Yeah.
Yes. So that kind of troop deployment and fleet deployment bit is really important here. This feels like a show of force where Reinhardt expects there to be some type of conflict, but the deployment of the fleets in this manner shows that, it's a bit extravagant and
it's
over the top in order to make sure that there be no shenanigans.
Right, because I feel like it's that weird thing where it's the high risk, high reward kind of a thing, because if only small amounts of fleets were sent in, then theoretically they can be resisted a lot easier, and the longer this conflict goes on, the worse it can get, right? However, by sending a lot of fleets, right, your eggs are then all in one basket. If there's a problem with supply lines or things like that, if you end up getting stuck in Alliance space and you aren't able to establish a base of operations for getting fuel and all that stuff.
Remember, they do have a base.
No, right, but if the number of things that could end up that would need to happen in order to have this turn into a disaster gets smaller, right?
Right.
So this is where Reinhardt thrives.
Right, but also the chance of resistance by the Alliance is so minimal in terms of actual fleet serious, attacks here. it's virtually zero.
Yeah.
So in that respect, Reinhardt didn't even necessarily need to go. And that's the part where they seem to be hinting at with this thing with this Otis guy constantly like getting his fleet closer and closer, not fleet, but his 10 ships closer and closer to Reinhardt. There could be some problems there.
Yep.
And with the setup where Yang is not going to be able to necessarily respond immediately to this, if anything, he's debating whether or not to immediately take the Iserlon once Lutz leaves. Leaves the station there, which he was correct in his assumption that he would eventually be deployed, because I'm guessing he's thinking, well, Lutz is competent enough to leave a skeleton crew at the Iserlon that can fire the cannon on anyone that comes, to try and take it.
But we still have things that we're pretty sure, or no, they specifically left things behind to make it easier to retake Iserlon later.
Yes,
so
that has nothing to do with Lutz's decision, though.
No.
I was meaning that Lutz is someone who's going to be competent enough to leave behind enough people to what they would assume would be enough to defend the fortress.
Yep.
And then, of course, Yang has, like you were saying, his special...
The back door, yeah. But most of this episode was like a whole lot of like setup and things like that, which is interesting because this seems like it should be a blue milk run, kid, right? This should be simple. This should be straightforward. Nothing should go wrong, right? Like from the from the surface, right? Everything except that sort of like metagaming, like thinking about the story and everything, and like all the tensions that have been rising.
Episodes left,
Right? Yeah. It's like this isn't just gonna go perfecitly, right? But then at the same time, I kind of want it to. I want Yang to join with the empire, with Reinhardt's new empire and everything, and have it just go through a whole other set of evolution and everything. Like that could be so cool. Yeah. But then at the same time, it's like, who are these people that are gonna potentially get close to Reinhardt? When is Ruental gonna make his move? He's like he's close to Reinhardt in this situation.
Very close.
So like hopefully like that won't cause any additional complications or problems.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole thing with like Mariendorf that kind of like Reinhardt, I feel like is kind of like that Greek tragedy where he has the fatal flaw that will end up being his undoing, and we'll be able to see it coming from a mile away, but it won't. He won't see it. He won't change it, and it won't matter, right?
Yeah.
And the bit that we got with Mariendorf this episode, it was such a good conversation.
Yeah, it was.
It was wonderful, and it made me feel like maybe there's hope that Reinhardt can turn this around.
Right.
And while that makes me very happy, it also makes me think, oh God, is the end nigh, right? Yeah. Because if he's going to be a Greek tragedy, right? If he's going to burn very bright and very, very quickly, he can't actually like figure it out, right?
Yeah.
He can't overcome his fatal flaw.
Yeah.
So does this mean he's on the way out?
Yeah, we'll see. One of the things that was really special about that conversation was you could tell the respect from Reinhardt to Mariendorf was very much there in his little way of saying great minds think alike with regards to her and Oberstein, and saying, oh, sages pass the same bridge at times. Great minds think alike. But during this time, Mariendorf is starting to realize, well, wait a minute. His role, being an older brother to Emil, his sister.
What's my role?
What's my role here?
Yeah.
And I really want this to be maybe the thing that spurs her on, especially if this venture goes well. Meaning, I would say the best way things could go well is they're able to all come back.
Right.
Because really, there's no way their fleet can be destroyed in any like serious way. So having Mariendorf come back with a living Reinhardt, and they potentially
fall in love.
Potentially have their love story begin or something like that. I want Mariendorf to reach out to Reinhardt's sister though, and bring her into this here, because
have another conversation.
I think she's realizing that there's a potential that she's fulfilling that role also for him of the older sister. And then if that's the case, then there's no room, maybe even for any kind of
romance.
Yeah,
it's the what role do I truly want in this, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I love about the dynamic that they have here is that she is being so helpful. She is like his ace of spades, like absolutely helping this organization keep going and helping him still function, right?
She is literally on that Oberstein level of necessary need for the
I want Oberstein
Empire.
and her to just sit down and have a conversation and be like, so how's our child? You know, like kind of, right? But Reinhardt's proud. And the fact that she thinks about these things that she knows need to be brought up at some point, because Reinhardt isn't addressing them, right?
And she needs to kind of do them in a bit of a forceful way in order for them to even be brought up.
And it's the whole thing of how diplomatic can I afford to be?
Right.
Because I need to be diplomatic in some way so that way I make sure, because I know I'm not Kierheis. I can't be Kierheis for him, right? And that's a very sensitive topic, so I don't know how to broach it, right? And then on top of that, his sister and everything, right?
Yeah.
But it does need to be brought up, and being diplomatic and letting the relationship between the two of them get to the point where he trusts her more, and hopefully she can bring it up and he'll receive it.
Yeah,
that's time that's being wasted, right? And well, is it being wasted? But it's time that he is not addressing this fatal flaw of his, right? Yeah.
No Kierheis, no Reinhardt at 100%. Yeah.
Yep.
And he is finding replacements that are insufficient and thus kind of addressing the symptom but ignoring the disease at the
root problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With the root problem in the Alliance being ripped out and exposed to the galaxy.
That speech which was so awesome.
Which was incredible by Reinhardt to be able to do that. In some ways, he might have just made everyone that liked him already like him even more, and those that were maybe neutral on him start to like him.
Yep.
And then those that were, stuck in their ways to dislike him then get forced into a situation where things, breed a bunch of chaos.
Right.
And yet he had to know that, he caused indirectly thousands of deaths on Heinesen.
That's true.
Now, to be fair, the incompetence of the Alliance government and inability to execute basic, crowd control kind of stuff with regards to not just the politicking, but just hey, we have a riot and stuff.
How do we handle it?
Don't
gun down thousands of people.
Civilians. What the hell? Holy shit.
So one might say that is an additional symptom of the issue that shows that Reinhardt needs to step in as soon as possible, right? Who knows?
Yeah.
And I love how he really killed with kindness in that speech, because he does the dictator thing very well, all things considered.
All things considered.
But killing with kindness like that, it's got to take the wind out of the sails of all the people that are like, no. We're fighting the just fight, right? It's like, well, hold on. We've been getting paychecks from the Alliance for a very long time, so we don't exactly want to switch now, but...
Right. One of the things that I love with Bucock being brought into this is he kind of emphasizes that point. However, Bucock is not telling anyone to join the Empire or even surrender to them.
No.
He's saying go join Yang.
Right.
Because while Reinhardt is an attractive, golden, god, no, that's not the way that any of them are swinging towards. It's the Yang is now our only hope. I will go down with the ship.
And even Yang, even though he then shifted focus into, all right, what if we took Iserlon? There was that part of him, like comedy is very telling. It shows what people are thinking and not fully willing to express in a serious manner.
Yeah.
What if they did join Reinhardt?
Yeah. The thing though that was brought up by, I don't remember if it was Oberstein. I think it was Oberstein, but it might have been Mariendorf. That Yang will never join you.
Right.
And you need to accept that and move on, because the point where you guys met was the perfect time for him to join you. And if he didn't join you then, he's never going to join you. And Reinhardt needs to accept that and move on, basically.
Right. Kierheis is dead.
Yeah,
you
Reinhardt, you cannot reincarnate Kierheis in Yang.
Yep.
Yang isn't even like Kierheis
Nope.
in the
Yeah.
slightest bit.
If anything, that might be helpful to spend more time with Yang so that you could see, like,
That
never meet your
he would
heroes kind of
infuriate
thing.
you
Oh
in a
yeah,
lot of ways.
Like
He'd constantly point out the flaws in what kind of history you're going to create, Reinhardt.
like
In that, yes, you may be well-intentioned dictator right now, but history will only be so kind to you as your biggest flaws.
well, and regardless, even if
Yeah.
you continue to do the dictator thing perfectly, which you could say that he's not right now, but even if you theoretically do the dictator
Yeah.
thing perfectly,
Yeah.
at some
He starts
point
listening to Mariendorf. He brings his sister.
right,
into this.
exactly,
He
even
delegates more to Oberstein.
right, even with Yang at
Yeah.
his side,
Yeah.
right, even if Yang was his protege that then took over when he was gone, at some point, the buck will be passed to someone who is not worthy of being in command, right? And you could say that no one's worthy of being in command.
Yeah,
but,
that's what Yang is going to constantly point out.
Right.
There.
Yeah. If anything, that Yang would be the other brother, right? Like if Kierheis was the brother that like Reinhardt got along with perfectly,
Right.
Yang would be the brother that they would just constantly be like bickering and just being like, I hate you.
Well, yeah. Reinhardt would be the one all hot-headed. I think Yang would be
Right.
the one be like, "Hey, I'm just speaking the truth here."
Insufferably
Like,
cool-headed.
right.
Yeah.
I won't get riled up with you and all this stuff. I'm gonna go get a little bit tipsy and read some books.
I'm gonna go drink some tea.
Yeah, exactly. But the fact that Oberstein gives a comment on this is where his natural state is, we could be headed for our, potential Alexander moment where
Potentially.
things get cut down to the three potential factions of
Right.
the Oberstein, governmental faction, the Ruhental, which is the fleet faction, with Mittermeier being the advanced faction where they need to agree on things, because Reinhardt could very well die if this alliance group's main intention here was to assassinate Reinhardt.
For all we know, those 10 ships, as soon as they get close and they're about to dock with Brunhild, they're just going to full thrusters ahead, and go right through the bridge.
Yeah.
Like-
I could see it being another assassination attempt that fails, and it leads towards a bit of a mental breakdown maybe for Reinhardt, where he's
Right.
like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I need to think about longevity, and then he immediately goes to Mariendorf. He's like, we need to do this.
I'm
ordering you
I'm
to marry
grievously
me.
wounded, and I'm in a hospital bed, but
In 3 months we will be married.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, because if Reinhardt truly was just being sort of taking the cold calculating approach, well, he probably would do something like that. Which, hey, that's exactly what the Goldenbaum dynasty did with his sister. So it's so of course he is never going to do that.
No.
At the same time, work-life balance. You need to make time for these relationships because they are really important.
And they
also
make
for
you
your
smile.
work. And they make you smile.
make you
With
smile,
the music coming in
buddy.
and everything, it's like, dude, this is
This is what you need.
this reminds me of that thing I heard once. I can't remember. This probably isn't even true, but the idea of the being single is the equivalent of smoking this many cigarettes a day or something like that. Right? It's like, Reinhardt, you are alone right now, and you don't have to be. Mm-hmm. Whether it's Mariendorf and actually talking to her as just a close, trusted confidant, or as a wife or a lover or whatever, or just talking to your sister again, right? That's the reason that you try and talk to. That's the reason why you want Yang with you so much, is because he at least speaks your language of combat, right? And so it sort of breaks through that bit of awkwardness there, or pretense or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But
Okay. But Ragnarok 2.0, we're doing this. We've got a couple developments on the Alliance side of things that could lead to a fleet being issued and facing Bittenfeld, which he's going to have the biggest hard-on for, because he's all right, Mittermeier's more than a few days away.
Yeah.
I can
I
definitely
get you
deal
all to myself.
Yeah, I can definitely deal with a small hodgepodge Alliance fleet for
we'll
2
go
days.
all night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've got the stamina for days.
Right.
But if Yang thinks that his best play is to take Iserlon once Lutz leaves, then he is declaring a third faction here.
Yep.
And everyone that is fleeing the Alliance, everyone that believes that the Alliance is doomed right now, will be bringing not just ships, will be bringing not just people, They'll be bringing impassioned beliefs that
Well-
they need to, at the very least, survive. And
So-
if they think Yang is their only hope of survival, he might have a legitimate shot at a third faction here.
And that's why I love what Reinhardt did with the speech, because
Yeah.
I feel like that's the situation that it would have been if things had been done differently. But by doing that, he basically just, because the amount of belief that people have to have in what they're doing in order to do something like that really puts their life on the line when they're not used to doing that, right? When they're regular ass people, they have to really be sure and desperate, right? Reinhardt might have just made a whole large portion of the Alliance civilians not sure. Right? And that's why there's
agree.
chaos.
I agree, but I would say also because there's chaos, we know that there are more people that are scared.
desperate. Yeah.
Well, they're scared enough to risk death to get out of this whole situation.
Right.
Here.
And the question is that I could totally see a bunch of them, a bunch of of civilians and stuff, just being like, "Hey, can we become Empire civilians?"
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Even if our government is doing whatever it's doing, that's fine. We're not a part of that. They don't speak for us. Will you take us in?
Right, but the rationale behind going and living in the mountains is very different from charging armed soldiers at a spaceport.
Yes.
So that's not the kind of thing where they are believing Reinhardt's words. They are terrified of the idea that there is military forces that are supremely, overwhelmingly powerful, that it will not matter what his pretty flowery words says.
The wheel is coming.
The hammer is coming.
Yeah. And we got to get out of the way.
Right. Those people who went to the mountains, I think, are the kind of people that you're talking about. The people that I'm talking about are the kind that charged the spaceport when the soldiers with armed guns kept firing.
Sure, but at the same time, I feel like in those situations, the spaceport is just a more desperate attempt of trying to get to the mountains. It's that the mountains aren't good enough. It's not that we need to get to Yang or anything. We need to get to another planet.
Yeah.
Anywhere else.
Right. And I would say that if they all were just told what Yang did, then that's why Mariendorf was like, we are going to be doing this, giving a boost to Yang's faction.
Right.
And those people are the ones that will be headed towards Elfacil and all that, because they said in the previous couple episodes ago that there was rumors circulating around that Yang was doing this. While he hasn't acted yet to secure Elfacil, so people don't know exactly where he is, I'm sure enough people have an idea that once he does this in Elfacil, that there will be people there at the planet literally save us, literally we'll give you anything and everything, because
here's a curious question.
Yeah.
Who would you be?
Who would I be?
Yeah, and of course we can't truly know that because we don't know what we would do in these kinds of situations.
But if I was a single 29-year-old guy, and I had no military experience, so I'm going to put myself as much as I am into this
full
whole
on
thing
civilian.
Here. I am a full civilian.
Yeah.
I have a YouTube channel. I'm a very loose entertainer at best in terms of what my job would be. I have family nearby, on the same planet.
Oh yeah, that's the thing that would make this so tough. Is what if people and families and things like that had different ideas of what they were going to do?
It would depend honestly on what my immediate circle with regards to family and friends were doing.
Gotcha.
Because if they were I'm very easily swayed by the thoughts and opinions of others with regards to arguments. So if someone was bringing up the idea that, hey, this is just a slightly more logical thought process than what I was bringing up, which would probably be hunker down. That'd be my initial thing there.
Okay.
Because I'd think that someone like Reinhard von Lohengrin doesn't care about me.
Right.
So,
and that's a very safe place to be. Hopefully.
Yeah. So I would value my safety, unless countered with a very logical argument by those in my close circle.
Gotcha.
So what would you do?
I would try and get to the Empire as fast as possible.
How?
See if there was any way to do it.
So you would Otis it and get in a fleet and just go right straight towards the Imperial fleet that's oncoming.
Either
I feel like if you just stay still, you become part of the Empire, Jacob.
no. So what I would probably do is, because I would be like, yeah, no, I don't want to actually go anywhere near the fleets or the fortress. I would see if I could get to one of the places that's as close as possible to the corridor spots. To like the Fejon corridor or the Iserlon corridor, so that way, since they'll thinking that most everything would just be going past me to get to freaking Heinesen. And then I'd see if there would be a way to either just, well, by being there, be as far away from what would be happening as possible, or see if there would be any kind of like group movements of like seeking asylum, and then wait for a bunch of other people to try it first and see if it actually works.
So in a lot of ways, you would be the people charging the spaceport. Because you wouldn't be satisfied with hiding in the mountains.
Charging would be a very
No, but I mean, you don't have a ship,
right?
So you would be one of the people that thinks that Reinhardt is not necessarily going to uphold his word, and you would see yourself as not safe in Alliance space.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
or at least not
point.
on Heinesen.
Well, that's my point. Is that's that kind of logic of people who then don't feel like they can trust Reinhardt in that way to not evaporate their planet, basically.
Well, it wouldn't have anything to do with
more sense.
It wouldn't have anything to do with whether or not I trusted Reinhardt specifically. It's whether I just trust the mass amalgamation of all the people that are the movers and shakers up above that don't care about me. Will that result in, Yeah.
It's quite interesting to think about when you see this kind of a war coming on, where there's such an overwhelming force that's on their way,
right?
That there's no way in any kind of physical conflict that it could be resolved.
Yep.
Positively for your side. Yeah, a lot of people's beliefs and when faced with the
when faced with extinction, every alternative is preferable.
Even though extinction is not even on the table.
Right.
Like,
well, it's not.
It's just the fear of it.
Right. It's not human, and it's not for the race as a whole. It's for me and mine. My lifestyle, my culture, my family, my whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Your group, basically.
Yep.
Yeah. But okay, the Empire is coming, and Bittenfeld's leading the charge, having the time of his life.
Yep.
So
he got Mittermeier all tied up. He's like, "Yep, see ya, sucker."
Oh boy,
that was
I
great.
love the idea that we're already seeing potentially a sign of incompetence that might lead to a problem later.
I don't know if I would call that incompetence necessarily. Bittenfeld came up with a clever solution to a diplomatic thing that his orders are not to engage in diplomacy. His orders are to do something, right? So it's like...
Right, but technically, wouldn't this be considered resistance? Because they tried to slow down. They tried to give them time. And Reinhardt's orders were to eliminate all resistance in their path.
Sure, and he did it. He's like, "Yep, keep going that way. I'm not stopping."
Yeah, I think that Bittenfeld dropped the ball. I think that Bittenfeld potentially should have, once he saw 10 ships going, "We have a message. We wish to board you." Nah. Boom.
Yeah, or at least
destroyed them.
Keep your distance. If you want to send a message, you can send it to us over open channels. If you come close, we will.
Well, or exit your battleships right now, or your ships, or whatever they are.
Yeah, come to us in like escape pods or shuttles or things like that. Yeah. There was a part of me that was wondering, since Bittenfeld's big issue that he had before that caused him to be kept in reserves a bunch was that he thrusted forward to prematurely, shall we say? Right?
Yes. Just a bit.
He was rushing to blow his load. Now he is. There is that bit of extra distance between him and Mittermeier, and it's would there ever come a point? I don't think so, because the fleets are so small that the Alliance has and Yang has and everything.
Yeah.
But would there come a point where it's like, oh, that extra 2 hours or whatever that they had to spend dealing with that guy or with those guys, that's actually going to be a deciding factor, Bittenfeld, in some military conflict or something.
Yeah, I don't think it will, because it takes so much time for the Empire's fleets to assemble in that regard, that once the message was sent out to the galaxy, immediately the reactions started all over Alliance, territory and stuff. So, if anything, this fleet was here waiting probably for a while before Bittenfeld and everyone else showed up. They're like, they're definitely going to come this way. It's the fastest way to Heinessen. We just sit here and wait for them.
Are we going to get a Bittenfeld versus Bucock space battle?
I think we are.
That would be awesome.
I think we are.
The
And
ultimate,
Bucock's going
like,
to have like 1,200 ships, maybe.
yeah, like something probably ridiculously small. And
Yeah.
like the ultimate, like the old, museum of military
Right.
strategic knowledge and history and all that. And then Bittenfeld. Yep.
Yep.
You can't make this shit up. Oh, wait,
Yep.
no, you can. It did happen. Someone made this shit up.
But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, will see it there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.